Thank you. All right. So thank you, Monica. Thank you for inviting me, and hello, everyone. So as you said, my name is Piotr Planeta, and I will be today offering a lecture and a guided meditation, because the main intention of this meeting today is to give you, to teach you how to meditate as far as we can go in this time, in this framework, and so you can know exactly what are general principles without falling into any potential pitfalls, as well as to give you like a proper, rules, let's say, or principles that you can follow that are very like open-minded, let's say, that it can adapt to various forms of meditation. And because I try to present meditation in such a way that it can be symbiotic with many forms, like yoga meditation, breath meditation, loving kindness meditation, insight meditation. So whatever meditation you do, as far as you follow these principles, everything will be great. And of course, also the second lecture will be more about theory, more like dharma that relates to whole life. But we will get there slowly. We'll start off by guided meditation, because I think it's easier to talk about theory after you have some practice. But maybe just a few words of introduction, why I'm here and stuff like that. So I meditate for like more than 10 years already, and I also, I'm very passionate about meditation, both from like practical perspective, because it's very helpful in life, and also it relates to spiritual path very deeply. And I'm also interested in theory of general Eastern philosophy, as well as, let's say, how all these spiritual experiences relate to our experience, and in general, I'm fascinated by, let's say, this other side of reality. So, because it's very, very important on the yoga path, which you're on, I suppose. I didn't make it eventually, but I had some inclinations to become a Buddhist monk at some point. But I'm not ready yet. But I really meditated a lot, so I hope I can share with you some insights and principles. First of all, I just want to ask you one question, do you like this teacher course? Is like in some specific yoga branch, or is just more like in general? How is it? Okay, but in general, you are a little bit rooted in this Patanjali yoga, stuff like that. All right, that's great, because I can use that then in the lecture part. Anyway, before we go to guided meditation, I just want to tell you a few things about what we will be doing, because I think it's wise to just first say that before we meditate, then we do it in a practical way, and then I'll talk about it in more detail after meditation. And if there is time, then we will do 2 meditations in this session, but I don't know if the time will be enough. But anyway, from practical perspective, what is very important is, of course, first thing is just the posture. And in general, you practice yoga, so you can, probably have more inclination towards some yogic postures, like, half lotus or something like that. But in general, truly in meditation, the posture is not that important. So when you will be teaching people in the future, for example, in your yoga classes, then I think it's very wise to allow people to just sit whatever they feel relaxed. I also allow people to lie down, because I think, that's first thing, there are many, let's say, paths of meditation. And it's, of course, when you are beginning, then you don't know exactly which path you're going to follow. But in general, in Buddhism, we can find 2 flavors, let's say. And one is more like disciplined, when you try to assert control over your mind and body. And the second path is more like compassionate and just allowing things to be in a very mellow and kind way. So I'm, in general, much more on this second path, that teachers like Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Sona, like, they teach very, like, based on compassion, kindness, and letting go. So in general, I just say that I will try to give you principles regarding this more like kind path. And so on this path, it's very important to create like friendship with your mind, with your heart, with your body. So we don't force stuff. We allow things to grow naturally, like the sun shining on flowers. They just grow slowly. And so I think it's very important for you and for your future students that you just let them progress naturally without forcing anything. And it's very important to root this practice in compassion to your body and to body of your students. So just allow them to sit however they like, to lie down if they need, so they feel safe. So they feel that whatever they do out of free will and not from forcing. And it's important because on this path, everything is based on this principle of freedom and, you know, just doing things naturally and stuff like that. So it has to come to the posture as well. But in general, as you probably know, actually Raja Yoga, the one that Patanjali taught, the asanas were actually, their main purpose was to get your body in such a condition that it's very easy to sit in meditation postures for long times. Because, yes, these yogic postures are actually very helpful in when you want to meditate really a lot. Then, like sitting with straight spine is helpful to keep yourself alert and stuff like that. But don't obsess over that. It's not that important. So that's the posture, and then in general there are also many schools about if you should meditate with eyes closed or not, but I think it's wise to close the eyes because then there is less sensual stimulus, which in yoga is pratyahara, which is like distancing yourself from sensual stimulus. And first thing in meditation is actually to switch your focus from thinking to feeling. Because in general, we have these two parts of our experience. One is like our thoughts, and the second is direct experience of reality in this moment. And actually in meditation, in this kind of meditation, it's important to start feeling direct experience. Because thoughts are often about past, about the future, about our worries and stuff like that. And direct experience is actually way more calm and continuous flow of experience. And this is one of the main principles. And actually, it doesn't really matter what meditation object you take. If you meditate with the breath or with the body or with some energy like prana, or with some visualization, whatever. What is important is that you start feeling something that's directly there. And so the first few minutes of meditation should be about just letting yourself settle, relax, and just start feeling the present experience. And usually the main sense that operates is the touch, the sense of touch. So you try to feel the breath or the body and the relaxed feelings that come with that. But it doesn't have to be touch only. It can be also sound. For example, I use it a lot, it's the sound of inner silence. So you just listen to the silence, because silence is also present in this moment. And the silence is something that is also beneath and between all sounds. So you can hear silence even within noise. And you can also like flow with the experience of silence, because the silence is the direct experience of the present and not your thoughts. Anyway, then usually I start with overall relaxation. So I use such metaphor that imagine a pot of water, and when the drop of water goes into a pot, then it creates a wave. So I like to tell that whatever your awareness, your consciousness touches, be like this drop that creates this wave of relaxation. And actually you can relax everything. relax can be not just about physical body. You can relax your emotions, you can relax the silence, you can relax your visual field. So whatever you touch, you relax, relax, relax. And you just feel into these feelings of relaxation. And it's important because then the experience becomes more subtle. And actually it's like a lotus flower because after you relax, there is like this new waves of relaxation coming into your feelings. And then you stabilize your awareness on this field of relaxation, and then you can do it again, and again, and again. And if you do this a lot, then eventually you will reach the moment when you will actually start feeling prana, like spiritual energy, that you will be so relaxed that you will feel like vibrations of energy, and then this is very pleasant. And the Buddha said it's pleasure not to be feared. The Buddha said that addiction to this pleasure can lead only to 4 things. First, second, third and fourth level of enlightenment. So when you get addicted to this pleasure of prana, you can get only enlightened. So this is a very good thing to pursue. And what is very nice is actually whatever you relax, then eventually you will reach this energy. If you relax the silence, you will hear this energy. If you relax the body, you will start feeling this energy. If you relax the breath, the same. Even in visualization, if you just make it more pleasant, then it will start vibrating and stuff like that. So underneath everything, if you just relax deep enough, you arrive at the same thing, which is the prana, the spiritual energy. But even if you don't get to prana, it doesn't matter. Just stay with as far relaxed as possible. And it takes usually like few minutes to, really relax and stuff like that. And then you will usually start to... by the way, I just want to say one thing. I'm speaking to microphone because I'm recording this. So I will send to Monica all recordings and she can send you so you can have this resource later on. That's why, there are no speakers. So you might think, why I'm speaking to microphone, why there are no speakers? But it's only for the recording. And yes, but anyway, going back to meditation, then there is time for focus. And but before you focus, you have to choose what you want to focus on. And I also follow this path of naturality. So you will just realize that one flow of experience is most pleasant. And for different people, it will be different. So that's why this is this open-mindedness, that for one of you, it might be the breath. For the other one, it might be the body. For the other one, it might be silence. But whatever you find most pleasant and most relaxing, it is wise to just choose this as this flow of experience that you will just rest and focus upon. And the focus, actually the word concentration or focus can be understood in 2 ways. And I suggest you to because one way of concentrating is like laser-like. For example, like when there is a sun and you have, I don't know the word, but the things that magnify stuff. And with the sun goes to this and it creates such a focus that actually you can burn images in wood. This is one way of focus, when you just narrow down your attention to a very small object and try to stay with that. But this is kind of focus that is not very good for this kind of meditation, because it's good for this disciplined approach. But in this approach, we like to think of focus like you are adjusting a telescope or a projector when you put a movie on a wall. Then you focus the resolution so it's clear. So you actually, in your mind, you just allow your awareness, your consciousness to just catch the resolution of the object you are observing. And in this way, it's not like tense, it's not like narrow focus, like, I need to be focused. It's more like completely relaxed. You just allow your mind to clearly receive the experience without tension. And so it's very important that this focus is relaxed. It's just more like adjusting the resolution. And then you just allow for a few minutes to just really let your mind, and this is important, you don't force your mind, you let your mind to naturally focus. So everything is just letting be, allowing, natural. And you just allow your mind to focus slowly, and it will catch this resolution clearly, and then you will be in such very pleasant state that you are clear, aware, and relaxed at the same time. And you just stay with that, and when you do that, then actually this experience, whatever you observe, will become very clear and like in your face. Whatever you observe will be the main reality of this moment. It's like magnifying glass that zooms you into the experience. And it's very important because in this way you actually get into meditation. You start to forget about normal world. You start to forget about time. And you just flow with this experience that is very apparent in your mind at this point. And that's this focus that it's like puts you into a different dimension, into dimension of this meditation. And then actually I use a metaphor that is very useful to keep this focus and resting state at the same time. And this is a metaphor of a pontoon, because you can imagine a pontoon that is on the water on a river, and that inside there is a very comfortable bed. And the body can just lie down on the pontoon, and the wind and the flow of the river just moves the pontoon, and you do nothing. You just lay in bed. But the pontoon is going forward through the various landscapes and stuff like that. And you're just relaxed. And what it symbolizes is the body symbolizes awareness. The pontoon symbolizes the meditation object, this flow of experience that you've chosen to focus on. And the river or the wind symbolizes time. So as the body rests on the pontoon that is carried by the wind and river, so your awareness, your consciousness lies on the meditation flow of on this meditation object, this pleasant flow of experience that is carried by the river of time. Because you can notice that whatever you focus on, you don't need to do anything for it to exist, for it to flow the experience, because the experience flows on its own. You don't need to make any effort for the experience to flow. Actually, you cannot stop the flow of the experience unless you are fully enlightened. Only then you can get into such deep samadhi that the experience stops flowing. But for most beings in the universe, the experience flows all the time. And we can use it to our advantage, that you don't need to do anything in order for the experience to flow. So you can actually rest on the experience. Like you rest on the pontoon, so your consciousness rests on this flow. But what is the trick there is actually you just, you are aware of the relaxation process, of this pleasant flow of experience. And because you are aware, you are not falling asleep. Because awareness and falling asleep are mutually exclusive. So you can be very relaxed, like extremely relaxed, because meditation is extreme relaxation, but you are clear and aware at the same time. And when you do this right, then you will actually, you can stop feeling your body, forget about time, forget about normal world, and just be aware of pure relaxation and this flowing experience of relaxation. And you just stay there. And pretty much that's everything. And if you just stay with that and let it happen, then you can get all meditation all the way to the deepest levels. And yeah, so that's pretty much the method. And what is nice about this, you don't need much, you don't need to understand everything. You don't need to understand all chakras, all nadis, or some spiritual experiences, because whatever comes is good. Because actually our hearts have inner genius in them. In Mahayana they call it Buddha nature, that everyone has path of enlightenment in your heart. So if you just, actually it's the wisest path to just, don't force it, just allow it to come. And everything that comes you just take with trust and acceptance. Because yeah, people for millennia and and various teachers, myself included, have seen it in many people, that actually it always does what it should do. And so just trust the nature, because this nature of love and nature of enlightenment is all of you, and you just allow nature to flow, and then everything is done correctly. And there can be many experiences that can come. I will talk about this later. But in general, they can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. But whatever they are, you just let them happen. Because it's usually connected with, like, let's say, the initial spiritual awakening. That it's not enlightenment, by the way, but there is a process in spiritual path that your energy body starts to transform into like higher level. And then there are many different experiences that can come, like various lights, like feeling of floating, like dissolving or vibrating, or heat or cold, many various. But whatever it is, just let it do its work. You just relax and let it flow. And I'm coming to last thing that is important, and that is that you just stick to the meditation object and relax. And whatever thoughts and different experiences happen, you just let them happen. So it's not about forcing yourself to focus and to try to cut off everything, but actually no, you allow your thoughts, your emotions, and various experiences to just flow. But just stay centered in this one experience. And your mind will be like going back from this center to this feeling, going back to center to that thought, going back to center to this emotion. And you just allow this mind to be this monkey that will go here and there. But as long as you come back to this center, everything is great. And that's nice, because in this path you try to make friends with your mind. You don't like try to seize control over your mind too much, but you allow that the thoughts that comes are good, emotions that comes are good, various feelings that comes are good, various energies that comes are good. And you just trust and let this flow, and let this flow. And actually, if you allow that, then in these meditations, you will notice that the thoughts that come to your mind are very wholesome and very useful. Because when we connect with deep relaxation, with inner silence, with meditation, then like some inner genius awakens in us, and actually we get best ideas. So you can just let them flow, and they'll be useful for you later in your life. But so don't like try to fight your thoughts or whatever emotions or experiences you have, just let them be there. And that's pretty much it. So that's like the main meditation, which in Buddhism and in yoga probably as well is called samatha, which is calming of the mind, or tranquilizing the mind. So it's like everything is tranquilized, like dissolved. It's dissolved, 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 because actually the path, the spiritual path, is the path of dissolution. The various layers of experience dissolve into, and in spirituality there is such thing that the more you're dissolved, the more blissful it is. So it's actually the bliss of relaxation, the bliss of dissolution. And actually it's very true, because one of the names for Nibbana, which is the highest spiritual experience, is Sabbe Sankhara Samato, which is dissolution of all mental formations. So it's dissolution of all experience. Everything dissolves into greater bliss. So actually when things disappear and dissolve and become more like fluid, flowing, the more subtle it is, the better. Yeah. But there are like one more meditation that we will also do, and because they can actually cooperate. And this is because this meditation I was talking about for now is more like just very natural process of relaxation and allowing things to be and happen. But there is other part meditation, which is called cultivation of divine emotions, like loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And this is more active meditation when you actually bring into your mind things that brings you these divine emotions. So for example, let's say you have spiritual love for some being, and you just bring this person to your mind so you can start feeling this spiritual love. And this actually helps deepen meditation and transform your mind in a good way. And today I will do that at the end of meditation. But in general, for future, you can do it in whatever succession you want. You can start from loving kindness and then do samatha, or you can start from samatha and then do loving kindness. In one meditation, you can switch between them. And in general, at first, it's good to learn both, but in time, you will just allow your mind to flow naturally. So for example, let's say I meditate and I sit and I relax and stuff like that. And sometimes my mind just wants to be more peaceful and just goes with this relaxation and silence, and that's it. But sometimes, for example, I bring to mind, like, let's say, the imagination of my favorite monk, let's say, and I just feel spiritual love for this person that is so great and stuff like that. And then this feeling of loving kindness floods my mind. And in time, you will just have different people that brings you these various beautiful emotions. And in general, these two things are like best friends. Calm of mind and these divine emotions of love are just best friends. So don't try to, no, now I'm doing loving kindness meditation, so I cannot let my mind to calm. Or I'm doing the calm meditation, so I cannot allow myself to feel loving kindness. Because some people might think like that. Because I'm trying to calm the mind, then why I go into activity of love? Because I try to make activity of love, then why I let dissolve things? But actually, these two things go together. Because you will notice if you get deeper on the path that if you feel very strong loving kindness, then actually it dissolves reality as well. So it's two paths to the same thing. And actually, when calming of the mind becomes very powerful, then also this powerful love feeling comes. So it's the same thing, which ultimately it's the two sides of the same coin. So it's good to let this coin to just flip however it likes, because actually, from the Buddha perspective, it's even better. Because there was a Buddhist sutta that he said that good meditation is like when a smith is making gold, and so to prepare it, he must heat it and cold it. And actually, this heat is this love, and cold is calm. And when you do it like both ways, then the gold becomes malleable, pliable, and you can do whatever you want with it. And it symbolizes that when you do it with your mind, then your mind becomes like gold, and you can do whatever you want with it, like even get some psychic powers and stuff like that. It's, very deep on the path. But this is in the Buddhist suttas that actually, when your mind becomes like gold, then it can make wonders. And this gold is made by heat of love and the calming of this tranquilizing. So these are two most important things. And these two things are like almost one meditation. And just to add, because as I speak, let it flow, the third kind of meditation, which we won't be doing much today, is insight meditation, when you just observe, experience, and we do this at the end of every meditation. And I encourage you strongly to do this with your students if you ever guide meditation. Always at the end of meditation say, notice how this meditation has affected your mind and your body, and reflect back on cause and effect. So let them think, what was the cause of my relaxation? What was the cause of my agitation? What was the cause of my loving kindness, or what was the cause of losing loving kindness? And let them, for 1 minute or two, just reflect on the cause and effect. And long story short, it's very important because normally we experience reality through concepts. For example, your parents told you that this is like this, or the school told you this is like that. And actually, sometimes things are not as we think. But when you are in direct relation with experience and you reflect on causality of experience, you actually discover the Dharma, because Dharma is laws of nature, and you experience in direct phenomena of the present how things work. And you will notice things that can be, well, new, let's say. Because you will notice that sometimes the path to peace and love is much quicker than we think. Because, for example, you might have concept that in order to feel calm, you need this, or in order to feel love, you need that. But actually, in your experience, you will notice that there are very simple steps you can take to bring these emotions to your experience. And if you do that, it's actually enlightening, because actually, in a way, enlightenment is the realization of the heart, that it finds a way to just be peaceful and blissful on its own. You will start to notice what kinds of perceptions you can cultivate to be blissful and free more and more. And this is much simpler than it's usually taught to us. Because actually, ultimate reality is this direct flow of experience. And in meditation, you learn how to work with this direct flow of experience and how to transform it skillfully. So actually, in this course, let's say we will focus like 95% on this samatha meditation with loving kindness and stuff like that, and 5% on this insight, which we do only at the end. But I can tell you that in general, if you ever want to, learn further, then there are specific meditations that are, whole meditation is just about observing experience, but we won't do it today, and it's less important in general. All right, so that was the like introduction what we're gonna do. And if anyone has some questions to what I said right now before we go to meditation, then please feel free to ask whatever. If something is unclear or you want to clarify anything.
I have a question on the position. You mentioned that you give a lot of freedom, but during the meditation, is it okay also to adjust your position?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. This is a very important question, and in general, it's very wise to, if you feel uncomfortable, then change your posture, and also please allow your students to do that in the future. And in general, don't think like changing posture is switch off, is like you break meditation. Because actually what breaks meditation is not the change of posture, but that you think it interferes. Because if you do it calmly without, like the most natural thing in the world, you just change posture and that's it. It doesn't break the meditation. And if you cultivate this perception, then it won't disturb your meditation. And it's very important to be comfortable at first. And only if you want to be, let's say, in the future, really good in meditation, then it's wise to, there are so-called aditana meditation, which is meditation with determination. Then, for example, you can make determination that for 1 hour you won't move. Because it's like a training, right? You just, if you want to become like a meditation master, then you need to push yourself further a little bit. But it's only for the people that really want to, develop this deeply. But for most people that comes to yoga classes and stuff like that, it's much better to just share with them this spirit of acceptance, of letting go, of relaxation and stuff like that. And in general, it's a good principle on the spiritual path, to, if you want to be like, how to say that, demanding, let's say, or have high expectations, then expect only from yourself. Then always be kind to your students. Be more like, always better to be on the side of being too soft than too hard. It's in general how, and it's actually one of my mentors told me that you never regret being too kind. But being too harsh, we often regret. So it's always better to be kinder to people. And if you want to have expectations, then mostly from yourself. And then actually your, let's say, your conduct and your practice will inspire others. When they feel that they will just want to be, okay, I want to be like this person that he sits like the Buddha for an hour and, and just, then they will just want to do it naturally without forcing. And this is actually very wise, because our minds have this tendency to be rebellious. When you try to force it, then it will try to go the other way. But if you allow it naturally, then it will be more cooperative. So this is how it is. So thank you for this question. And if anyone has any other question, then please ask. And if not, then let's get to meditation. So just please get your postures. And just very calmly, slowly, find the right posture for this moment. And of course you can have some favorite posture, so try it first. But every day, every meditation, just feel your body and ask it if is it actually the right posture for today. Because just follow your body. All right. And slowly start feeling the direct experience. So it's usually nice to start from the breath or the body because it's most present. I would just say that there are people who likes to meditate with the breath and people who don't. So I just say the body, but it includes the breath. So whoever likes with the breath, just treat the body as breath, and who don't like to meditate with breath, then just go to the physical body. And for a few minutes, just allow yourself to direct your mind to a feeling. And whenever you go into thinking again, allow it to be, but go back gently to feeling, feeling, feeling. And I will run you through a few things. First of all, the breath. When you feel the breath, try to feel the continuous flow. You don't have to focus on any particular point. Just gently feel the breath. I like this metaphor, like you are lying. Imagine you're lying on the seaside, and the sea, the waves are gently rubbing your body. With the wave is coming, it's like pats you on the body, and it's coming out. It gently rubs you, and so you can feel the breath like this wave of the ocean that's gently caressing your body. For example, like you stand with your feet in the ocean. You love when the wave is coming and going. And what do? You just enjoy. You focus on this experience of the waves. And in the same way, just enjoy the breath. Enjoy this inner massage. Because perception creates your reality. And if you focus on this breath like it's a gently caressing wave, then it will become that. And with the body, for example, I like to start from the head. And when I feel my head, I feel like my consciousness are like this drop of water that falls into a pot. And every drop is creating a wave of relaxation. And oh, so nice. Just feeling relaxing of every part of the experience of head. Your face. Whatever part of your face is touched by your awareness is the object of relaxation. It creates these pleasant waves of relaxed feelings. And just feel into it. Like your body is dissolving into a mist of pleasure. And in general, whatever you observe, is it the breath or the body, try to catch this resolution, focus on most pleasant experience. Just follow the pleasure, follow the relaxation. It's a little bit like playing the game, because you don't know which part will be most relaxed, which part will be most pleasant. But you just watch, feel, and play with the mind and go to places where it's most relaxed, most pleasant. And then, like you take a shower and the water is flowing through your body, gently. So your awareness, let it go down. Slowly, much slower than the water on the shower, like in slow motion. And when you go down, there are more of these drops of relaxation, which relax and dissolve lower and lower parts. And just sweep through entire body slowly within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Just let this awareness relax every part and just feel into this most pleasant, most relaxing mist of experience that is coming. and again. I like to show you a way of meditating that you don't have to have some specific way of relaxing your body. You don't need specific, sequence. You don't need to relax the whole body. Just whatever you feel is your nature, whatever is pleasant for you. Some people love to stay in the headspace. Some people love to stay in the heart center. Some people love to stay within the belly. Some people love to flow through all body. Just do whatever is good for you, what is your nature. Whatever flows naturally from in your experience. Whatever you find most relaxing and most pleasant. And I will run you through two more things just so you have broader perspective. First is inner silence. And it's very simple method how to direct your mind to it. It's like you try to listen to falling dust. And because dust is making no sound, then your mind will start hearing the sound of no sound. And you can hear it beneath or between all other sounds. They can be present, but you just direct your mind to sound of silence. And you can also just focus on silence and let it flow, let it fill your mind, and just enjoy the peace of silence. And you might notice, as you listen to silence, you start to hear such humming, ringing, constant sound. This is so-called sound of silence, or the nada sound. There's a whole branch of yoga called nada yoga. That is meditation path of listening to this sound. It is in general taken that this is sound of prana, sound of energy. And actually silence has two sides. One is like absolute silence, and the other one is this ringing, humming, constant nada sound. And it's the same like with this samatha and loving kindness. They are like not enemies, they are friends. When you listen to silence, you can oscillate between total silence and this nada sound. It's very constant, very gentle, and you can just rest your mind on this inner silence. And the last one is inner eye, because even when you have eyes closed, you try not to look with the eyes, but just notice that in your visual field there are some images, usually like dust particles vibrating on just one hue of color. Because it's day, then it's more like golden, brownish. If it's dark, it's black. But within this field of color, you can see like particles of dust floating in the air. And you can also just rest your mind on this very simple flow of experience. Alright, so these are the possibilities. And now, just let your mind choose which is the most pleasant for you. This mist of relaxed feelings in the body, this feeling of breath like sea, this inner silence or this inner eye. what you find most pleasant, in which your mind finds most relaxation and rest. And also it can be combination of 2 or 3. For example, you can like to feel the silence, hear the silence and feel this mist of relaxation. Or you can like to hear the silence and see this visual field, whatever. Just choose one or whatever combination, let your mind choose what of this all field of experience feels like home to you. Like where you want to stay, where you want to flow, to relax, and allow your mind to just go there. And now, when your mind has chosen, allow your consciousness, your awareness to rest on this flow of experience like on this pontoon. Just like the body rests on pontoon, is carried by the wind and river, so your awareness, your consciousness rests on this flow of experience that you've chosen and just flows with it on the river of time. So you do nothing in a way. You are just aware of these relaxed, pleasant sensations. You just enjoy them. And you let your mind to go through various landscapes. You allow other things to happen, your other thoughts, changes of posture, various emotions, various experiences. Everything can happen. But you just center and rest in this aware and relaxed state, in this pleasant flow of experience. And this is how you practice, and I wish you pleasant and fruitful meditation. And for the future, I just want to say that in meditation, you will have moments of anxiety where you feel like you want to finish your meditation, that it's enough, like I'm getting agitated. And of course, you can end meditation at this point. But if you want to progress on spiritual path deeply, then when this moment of anxiety and agitation arises, you just keep relaxing into this silence, into this pleasant flow of experience, and prolong it, prolong it, prolong it. And if you do that a lot, then you will, in a way, change the lineage, because you will become more and more like an enlightened being, where you start to draw on this pleasure of emptiness and of relaxation, of just pure flow of very minimalistic experience. And if you change that, then you will transform very deeply. But it's a gradual path. And of course, we don't have time to do it there a very long meditation, but you can prolong it in your private practice. But now we will go to loving kindness meditation, or so-called metta meditation. At the end, there are many ways of practicing metta, but I will just show you one simplest way. Just think what being in the universe is most dear, like the being which, when you think about this being, it just fills you with spiritual love. The purest wishing of well-being and just happiness that this being exists. It can be some spiritual teacher, it can be your dog, it can be your friend, whatever. Just some being that when you just think about it, you just feel pure joy, pure good feelings. And when you have this one being, just try to bring that being to your mind. Remember the pleasant things that this being has, you had interactions or some values that it gave you, or just imagine its face. And just fill yourself with this love for this being. Like, I'm so grateful that this being exists, that it helps me. I just wish this being to be happy and free from suffering. And you can feel it both ways, that this being loves you and just wishing you well-being. You can feel safe in its presence. And that you feel to this being, may this being be safe, may this being be happy, may this being be free of suffering. And just let your heart open to these beautiful divine emotions of love and compassion and gratitude. And you just anchor your mind on these feelings of love, compassion and gratitude, and on this being, and let your mind again naturally flow. Let your mind bring the images. Let your mind bring imagination. Let your mind bring memories. Let your mind bring emotions, intentions, thoughts. Just let it flow. Anchor yourself in the feelings of love to this being, and this being loves to you, and just let it flow. Let it flow. And just experience without much expectations. Just let your mind do its thing. And I forgot to add one thing, which is very nice for this meditation, because when you're deeply meditated already, you feel this mist of relaxation, and when you feel it, try to feel that this being is present in this energy, in this mist of sensations, that its love is in these feelings. Like it's absolutely there right now. This love is right now. And that these feelings that you feel in your meditation is love for this being as well. Just imagine that in some sort of telepathy, you send this being these beautiful feelings you've created in this meditation, and it goes both ways. That this energy is energy of love, compassion, and gratitude, and just fill your heart. Let your mind fill your heart with this beautiful energy, these beautiful emotions. And for the future, you can focus on this one being, or after some time just bring another being. And then after a few minutes, another. And this is not for today's meditation maybe, but in the future, it's good to get to a point when you just radiate these feelings to all world, to whole universe, every direction. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy. And this is very powerful practice when you just... Actually, we can do it right now for a moment. Just connect with the very simple fact that you, at the deepest level, is just consciousness which experience which is dualistic, which is painful and pleasant, changing, and that all of you wish to be free from suffering, all of you wish to be happy. And in the same way, absolutely every being in the universe, every insect, every animal, every spirit, every human, every god, just wants to be free from suffering and happy. And just go beyond the conditions. Just realize everyone is the way they are because they are conditioned to be so. And instead of feel anger from like, let's say, unskillful things that beings do, just feel compassion that they too suffer and they too wish to be free from harm. And when you feel this beautiful, relaxed, loving energy, just spread it to all universe, to all beings. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy. And just let this, you just anchor yourself in this intention, in these feelings, and let your mind do its thing with energy, with attention, with thoughts, with emotions. Just let it flow. Let it flow. All right. And slowly we will end this meditation. So just now, please notice how you feel after this meditation. And please notice how you feel in relation to the moment before we started this meditation. What has changed? And reflect. Reflect on this meditation, how the process was going that these changes has come. What sort of perceptions, what sort of attention focus, what sorts of anchoring in what emotions, in what intentions has bring these changes. And even if you had unpleasant meditation, then please note what has been bringing this unpleasantness. And if you had pleasant meditation, what has bring this pleasantness? And just reflect objectively, gather data, All right, and last thing we're gonna do, just try to stay with your meditation object still, like you will keep meditating, and after a while slowly and gently open your eyes, looking at some completely unimportant point, and just try to keep meditating for a few more seconds or 1 minute with eyes open. All right, and thank you for the meditation. And I did this last part so you can see that actually it's not the essence. The closing eyes is not the essence. You can keep meditating with eyes open, and actually this state can remain even outside of, let's say, meditation, because it's actually more about certain way of experiencing and focusing instead of, and certain way of perceiving, and not just, having eyes closed. Anyway, thank you. And right now, before we go to Q&A session, I just want to add a few things. So if you have any questions, just please remember them and we will get to them soon. I just want to tell a few things that I think are important, because it might actually answer already to some of questions you have. So, first of all, meditation is super important because it's one of the most transformative practices in the universe. And if you will be doing that and guiding meditation for other people, you will really change your and people's lives. Just like yoga is very good for the body and it helps release a lot of suffering and tension, it's a wonderful gift. In the same way, meditation is like yoga for the mind and the heart. When you really release tensions in the mind, in the heart, and it really brings wonderful benefits over time. So I highly recommend doing that and spreading that. In general, if you want to get deeper, I recommend you to meditate more and more. In general, this method of meditation is very nice because it's very simple and mellow, and it's not hard for your body. So you can make longer sessions without problems, with tensions and stuff like that. And in general, I personally, when I try to meditate a lot, I usually do it in few sessions in a row. Like, for example, 45 minutes, 5-minute break, 45 minutes, 5-minute break, 45 minutes. And then you can meditate for more than 2 hours without feeling any taxation on your body. And I also love to doing yoga before meditation. Actually, it's the best way, because then instead of shavasana, you just do meditation. And then you just prolong it much longer. And actually, I think this is designed in this way, that first yoga, then meditation. And after meditation, you can do a short yoga as well. And I've noticed that it's very nice to have sometimes shorter yoga sessions, and more often, and then just you release tensions and meditate, release tensions and meditate, and then you can really work a lot with this. And in general, what is most important probably is what is the guiding principle of all this. Because there are a million ways of meditation, million ways of spiritual practice. But what is one thing that is always universal and true is that you just notice if this practice in present moment and in longer term leads to increase in wholesome and healthy states of mind and decrease in unwholesome and unhealthy states of mind, or reverse, does it lead to decrease in wholesome, healthy states of mind and increase in unwholesome, unhealthy states of mind? And in Buddhism and in yoga, we call it kusala, akusala. Kusala means wholesome, healthy. Akusala is negation, unhealthy, unwholesome. And it comes from the kusa grass, which is in India. And it's the grass, if you pat it on the one side, then it's like very soft, pat and beautiful feeling. And if you on the other side, it cuts your hands. And this is like life. Certain things in life are like blissful and beautiful and leads to just more happiness. And some things in life just cuts you and causes you more suffering. And it's not obvious because it will be the subject of next lecture about karma. Because actually karma is the teaching that some things in the long term leads to happiness and to suffering. And you must notice what these things are. And of course, the general principle is such that you should actually be aware, self-aware of your body, of your feelings, of your thoughts, of your actions, and connect it all together and reflect how does it lead to increase in happiness or increase in suffering. And this is ultimate guide to everything. In this way you can, whatever, someone can be a shaman, someone can be a yogi, a Buddhist, a Christian, whatever, New Age, whatever practice they do, just don't judge on the external. Does it lead to increase in wholesome and increase in healthy states? Then it's true Dharma. Whatever, if someone calls it love of God or Dharma or shamanic practice, whatever they call it, whatever the aesthetics, the names, if it leads to increase of wholesome states, then it's truth, it's beauty, it's goodness, it's Dharma. And if it leads on the other side, then it's Mara, it's the path of suffering, of evil, let's say. So this is very important. And of course, in order to bring that very deeply, then this is actually so-called satipatthana practice, which is like establishment of mindfulness. Because where you can really notice the effects of your actions and your thoughts, and it's in your body, in your feelings, in your mind, and in your mind processes. These are 4 ways where you should learn to introspectively look very continuously and deeply into these realms, and you will start feeling how these things bring about. Because I say concepts and reality are different things. For example, you may have concept that you love someone, but actually when you're with this person, you may feel a lot of negative feelings in your body, in your heart. And that's, if you are very connected to your body and emotions, you won't get fooled by your concepts. And in the same way, you might feel that something is not really good because you are, for example, afraid of forgiveness or afraid of goodness, of generosity. But actually, when you do that, something deeply moves in you. And this is a beautiful feeling. And if you feel that, you will follow that. And once you follow that, you will learn to trust your body, your heart, your feelings. And then slowly you will find in this maze what is really feels good. Because goodness has certain quality of feeling. Not only because goodness is also a state of consciousness, it's a certain way of approaching stuff, but in general, most good, wholesome states are pleasant in a way. But of course, the problem is that some unwholesome states are pleasant. And that's the trick. But in general, the Buddha gave us some, let's say, so in general, you should discover it yourself. You should reflect and find this wisdom in your own experience. This is the goal. But a little spoiler by the Buddha, he gives you, in general, you know, you will find it in yourself, but this is the truth. And this truth is that, in general, true love, like wishing well-beings for others, compassion, which is not this is opposite of cruelty, that you always want to be compassionate, sympathetic joy, which is feeling happiness of other happiness, which is the opposite of jealousy. and equanimity, which is like just being balanced and like clear. These are all very wholesome states. Also, generosity, goodwill, letting go and being moderate and self-controlled to a degree, but also allowing. In general, these are good states. Wisdom, calm of mind. These are all good states. And what are unwholesome states? It's obsession, anger, hate, jealousy, ego, arrogance, what else? Agitation, restlessness, fear. All these states are mostly unwholesome states. Fear is tricky because fear of wrongdoing is a wholesome state. But it's only good fear. And in general, you will notice. So when you notice that certain practice brings you more fear, more anxiety, more hate, more frustration, then it's not a good practice for you. But if some practice brings you more love, more compassion, more calm, then this is good practice. And it can be whatever practice. It can be from various traditions, various methods, from most simple to most crazy. Whatever works for what. And this is very nice because it brings you a lot of tolerance and acceptance of other paths, of other practices. The main principle is does lead to increase in wholesome and decrease in unwholesome. And what you will notice is that when you follow this path of wholesome, healthy states, then it is very simple comparison is to food. Some food is tasty but unhealthy. Some food is healthy but untasty. And some food is healthy and tasty. And in general, we want to pursue this healthy and tasty stuff because it's easiest and it's the better. Because when you eat only unhealthy, tasty stuff, it may be pleasant for a while, but you suffer in the long term. You have illness and stuff like that. And the path of Dharma is the path of healthy stuff. So you try to deal with yourself and with others in a healthy way that brings these good emotions, this good stuff. And in general, one thing that in general goodness, because goodness is like the one word which covers it all, it's not just the feeling. Because love, some people might say love is feeling, but love is two things. It's both feeling and state of consciousness. Because love, when it matures to a feeling, is a very beautiful, like heavenly experience. But when you love, you cannot be all the time in heaven. Sometimes love is connected with hardship, actually, because sometimes you must do things that are difficult, that challenge your ego and stuff like that, your desires. And then the love is like state of consciousness. For example, you're angry, but you are compassionate towards your anger. So you are not in love when you're angry. You don't feel blissful heavenly experience when you're angry. But when you accept your anger with compassion and like acceptance with love, then this is like state of consciousness. You're like directing certain response to this anger, and this is love as well. And this is goodness. And it applies also to relationship, to work, to whatever you do in life. Things will be pleasant and unpleasant, but the love is the state of consciousness that relates in a good way to both pleasant and unpleasant. And when you follow this path of goodness, then more and more you will experience these heavenly blissful feelings of love. And this is actually how meditation truly works. Because if you want to get really beautiful meditations, then they must be combined with Dharma practice in your whole life. And if you practice whole life, this divine, beautiful goodness, then it will build up, and in your meditations you will start to feel more and more bliss. From this nature flow of experience, it will start to float into your experience very beautiful, blissful energy. And this is actually, as I said, this is one of the paths to enlightenment, because then you realize what are the rules of reality, what is Dharma, because Dharma is rules of nature. You will notice that this path of goodness, which is all what karma is about, the subject of our next lecture, because you just start to live according to the law of karma. You just start to being a good being. And this is actually the essence of yoga and meditation. It's all the practice about developing good heart. And why meditation and yoga helps in that? Because yoga reduces pain in the body, and pain is source of a lot of unskillful, unpleasant states, which leads to anger, frustration, fear and stuff like that. So through yoga you release all this fear and anxiety and tension in your body. And through meditation you release all this tension and fear in your mind, and cultivate this beautiful bliss in your body through yoga. You cultivate this beautiful bliss of mind and heart in your meditation, and then you connect these all together. And if you connect with good life in general, then you just become your life just reduces suffering for yourself and for others, because it spills out, like Ajahn Sona says. When you're very happy and peaceful and blissful inside, it just spills out naturally. You don't have to do anything. Just being in your presence will be pleasant for others. And this is the path of Dharma, ultimately, which yoga is all about. Because ultimately, the goal of yoga is to release from suffering yourself and help others. So this is, and to become more blissful, and to find the source of bliss that is more dependable than normal ways of becoming happy. Of course, in the lay life, it's normal to follow sensual pleasures and normal stuff in life, but you start to also get pleasure and happiness from more reliable source, from your inner relaxation, well-being. And when you start feed yourself, this is very healthy happiness. And when you follow that, it will just build up, build up, build up, like health. Because why this health is such a beautiful metaphor is because pleasure is usually short-term. You get pleasure, it's nice, but it fades away. But health, it builds up to health or unhealth, or sickness. And when you are super healthy, then this bliss that comes from health is much more long-lasting. And it's the same with spirituality. Spirituality is like healthy happiness, that long-term. You just find a healthy food for your mind, for your body, for your soul, and you just develop it, and it spills over. So this is the essence of Dharma. And so the essence of, ultimately, I tell this because you might want to follow various parts of meditation, and I say do whatever you love. If you love yoga or Tibetan Buddhism or Christian meditations or shamanic meditations, do whatever you like. Just this one principle, if you follow, if it leads to increase in wholesome, decrease in unwholesome, then I will feel like my responsibility is done, that the way I presented meditation is wholesome, and I did my thing, and that's it. So that is most important. And what other things? And in general, meditation is mostly about transforming your mind and heart and learning new patterns of good behavior, of more awareness. So actually, meditation in itself is very good for your mind and for, in general, way of life. So it's very transformative, even on this very earthy way. It transforms your emotions, your thoughts, your way of perception. It opens your mind. It gives you a new way of finding happiness and peace. So even on this very earthy level, it's very spiritual. And it's a very important part of meditation. But there is also the other part, which is more spiritual, which deals with spiritual experiences, like experience of energy, experience of beings from other realms, experience of psychic powers and all this stuff, which is higher level. But in general, even before this higher level, various energetic experience will happen to even, let's say, medium meditators, not like super beginners, but not advanced, but on the, when you practice for some time. And then comes various experiences that people will ask you about if you teach meditation, that you will have yourself. So let me give a very quick overview how to deal with that, what's it all about and stuff like that. In general, there are usually 3 ways of experiencing them, because actually gods have 3 senses. Humans have 5 senses, gods have 3 senses. Gods have eyes, like visual sense, auditory sense, and touch sense. So actually in Rupaloka, which is the realm of luminous forms, which is the realm of gods, of this spiritual energy, everything is like heard, seen, and felt at the same time. You, for example, see light, but you also feel the bliss of this light, and you hear like this light is like the voice of angels. Like, so everything becomes like one flow of very beautiful experience. But it can also be scary at sometimes. Sometimes the visions and spiritual experiences can be actually unpleasant. So this is like this very spiritual level, but also there is a level where you cannot even know if the feeling is physical or spiritual. For example, and this happens to a lot of people, when people meditate a lot, then they feel a lot of heat. It's called tejas in yoga, which is the energy of fire, of heat. And it usually can last for like few years, because it's actually heat energy that cleanses you from impurities on the energetic level. So you must just allow this to happen. So the one is heat and cold. The other one is feelings of expanding, of contracting, or vibrating, whirling, pulsing, like things changing sizes. You may feel like cloud, you may feel levitating, and in general there are like 4 elements of where you can feel prana. Sometimes it's hard like a rock, earth element. Sometimes it's very hot like fire element. Sometimes it's very floating like water element, and sometimes it's like dispersing like the air element. And there are many levels of pranic experiences, like let's say 5 levels. One is like very subtle vibrations. Then there is like this flow of actual like experience of for example, electricity of bliss was flowing through you. This is like the 2nd level. 3rd level is like you dissolve in different reality. 4th level is like a tsunami of like earthquake of powerful experience, and the 5th level is like infinity. So in general, there are these ways the prana can be so powerful that it's mind-blowing. But in general, whatever happens, the one principle is just allow it to happen. Because if you try to understand it and play with it, it's very hard. It's much easier to just trust the process and just realize that whatever happens to you, is it heat or cold, extraction or contraction, light of blue, gold, white, whatever color, or this experience of the experience, is it pleasant or unpleasant, beautiful or scary. Whatever comes, just let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. And in general, there are these ways of usually people, how this goes. And long story short, there is so-called initial spiritual awakening. It's not enlightenment. People often think they are enlightened at this point, but it's very silly to think that, because enlightenment is something much deeper. But there is a moment when your spiritual body awakes. It's connected also with Kundalini a little bit, with all these chakras opening and stuff like that. And when this happens, people have very strange experiences. Sometimes very powerful much more powerful than normal experiences, but actually it's not full awakening. But what is important, that this stage is the very long stage of transformation of your energetic body when it actualizes to a next level. And it usually takes a few years, and after a few years of sincere practice, it comes to the so-called stage of equanimity, where your energetic body is like just an aura of very soft, very mellow, blissful sensations. So everything got transformed, and then all this craziness stops. All this vision stops, and then you are on this stage where everything is calmed down and you are just integrated in with spirit, but it's no longer, in a way, it stops being so dramatic. And then from this stage you can get slowly to deeper levels. But what is important, that when these things happen, it's very important that you yourself don't freak out and just let things happen. And when your students go through just things, always tell them, just let these things happen. And if someone is overburdened by this stuff, because it can happen, then two things. One thing is just go with the flow. When you are on the roller coaster, you cannot get off. You just must. But the second part, you can just practice less. You can just practice less. So if you are overwhelmed, just stop practicing. And just, the roller coaster is going, so some experience will be like an echo, but it will stop. If you stop practice, then they will fade away again. And then if you pick up the practice sometime later, then they will be more mellow in the future. And if someone has dark experiences and stuff like that, then usually the best way is to do less practice and do more karma yoga. Karma yoga is just being good in the world, just develop your goodness, your generosity, your morality, fix up your precepts, stop being immoral, being more healthy, being more generous. And then you will notice when you get to this next stage, then these fearful experiences will be much less. Because actually, why this happens is because it's like natural process. You want to get to heaven, but your heart is not pure. So your mind itself is showing you your impurities. So in general, when you fix up your goodness in your life, then these bad visions will go away. So this is usually happens to people who wants to be like, yeah, I will be the greatest yogi. I will practice all the time and I will be the best and I will just, and then they get into trouble. So it's good to balance. That's why this morality and goodness is so important. Because Ajahn Brahm says that in deep meditation, you just look into your own heart. So if you have blissful meditations, that means your heart is beautiful. If you have fearful meditations, then your heart has some impurities from past lives or this life, and you just need to work on karma yoga more. Karma yoga is just work through conduct in your daily life. So this is important, but in general, try not to give too much meaning to this stuff. Maybe if you want, but this is not my path. In general, when people come to me, yeah, I had this light, gold light, what does it mean? Or I heard this, or I had that, or I felt this, whatever. It's just transforming of your body. It's path forward. Just let it happen, relax, enjoy, and go and move on. Because all these experiences are impermanent. Actually, all experiences that come from this stage of spiritual initial awakening are impermanent and usually happens only once in your life. But these experiences that come very late on spiritual path, when you get into samadhi, into jhanas and stuff like that, then actually these experiences are repeatable. That you go into same space of bliss all the time. Because you actually connect with some transcendental spiritual realm, but this happens very late, which this spiritual awakening is part of preparation. That is just related to all these strange experiences that happen to you for some time. So this is important, because when you get into teaching other meditations, you should at least know this, that there is chance that people will get these experiences, they will want some explanation, and this is the shortest possible explanation you give, and this is really good enough. You don't need to be the ultimate expert, because unless you want to be some very super dedicated meditation teacher, then I think for someone who just teaches yoga and from time to time guided meditation, this is more than enough. And yeah, I think this is pretty much everything that is most important. And yeah, in general, there are of course many ways of meditation. I just gave you very simple. But you will find this in other books or on other courses like visualization meditation or mantra meditation, various methods of loving kindness meditation. So whatever meditation you take, this general principle of it doesn't increase in the wholesome and in general relax and enjoy, this all applies. But in general, these techniques that I gave you today, which are dealing with just relaxing or going with the inner silence and flowing on this experience, I think this is good enough. It can be your main vehicle for your life if you like that. But if you want to explore other things, as long as you keep to these principles, I think all will be great. And I say that because in the subject of this, I told to don't fall into any pitfalls, right? Because this is important. And what are the pitfalls? One, we already covered them. One of them is when you get some random teacher who doesn't understand, and he teaches you some meditation and tells you should do it like this and like that and follow this. For example, watch the breath in such a way and such a way, or do pranayama in such a way and such a way. But actually, it increases your anxiety, it increases your unwholesome states, that this is not good practice for you. And there are teachers out there who are just fixated on a method. And that's why I try to tell them, don't fixate on the method, just be open-minded, be aware, self-aware, and observe. And you will find what works for you, what works for your students. And then all is safe if you just follow this simple thing. The other pitfall is to be obsessed with meditation without practice of Dharma in real life, which is actually can be dangerous, because if people meditate a lot without practicing Dharma, then they can actually approach these fearful visions and stuff like that. And then it's important to karma yoga, relax. And sometimes the best way to progress in meditation is to do less meditation and just focus on goodness in life, because these things are really connected. But of course, most people are the other side. They meditate too little and not too much. So actually, it's good to encourage people, and only crazy freaks who wants to meditate 10 hours a day, and you can be careful, And yeah, this is and yeah.
You said too little. What do you mean by too little?
Yeah, I mean that in general,
So, okay, maybe the question would be, what would you recommend?
Yes.
Or to start like a regular practice, would 5 minutes per day would be too little, or?
Yeah, I think, of course, in general, there is no rules. Like everyone is different. For some, 5 minutes.
People need some kind of.
Yeah, I would say that it's good to meditate for 40-45 minutes per session. Per session, and if you can, 1 or 2 sessions per day. This is like a basic. And really, you may think, wow, how will I get time and stuff like that. But actually, if you,
Sorry, just to add on this, if you can cover, is there any recommendation to meditation to do it in the morning?
Yeah.
In the evening?
Actually, I would say there is no recommendation because everyone is different, but what is the most common is to meditate after you wake up and before you go to sleep. Or between work periods. Because actually it's connected also with neurobiology. Because meditation works differently in different parts of the day. Because we have this dopaminergic systems and parasympathetic system, which is like motivational system and relaxing system. And for example, if you meditate in the morning before work, it actually will activate you more and you will be more energetic and focused in your work. But if you meditate before the sleep, it will actually work relaxing and it's much easier to sleep. So I, in my daily life, meditate pretty much every day before I go to sleep, because then it's much easier to fall asleep and I sleep better and stuff like that. So actually, you need a little less sleep if you meditate because you rest better. And I personally also meditate sometimes and oftentimes in the morning, because then I have, when I wake up in bad mood or something, after I, for example, had some bad dream or, some pain, just meditate in the morning, clear your mind, and then have a breakfast and go get it to work. And I also love to meditate. For example, if I have to work a lot, then, for example, I work for 2 hours, then I meditate, take a nap, and go back to work. So, for example, because it really refreshes your mind. So it's not like it will not take anything from your life. Actually, you will have more time if you meditate, because you will get your work done much quicker, you will sleep better, you will get the day with better mood, and when you have better mood and clear mind, then everything happens more easy. And even you will have time for silly things still. So really, actually, if, for example, 45 minutes is too long for you, then, for example, 30 minutes. But for me, 5 minutes is a little funny. It's a good, for a very beginner. But in general...
It's very common now in the social media that everyone is promoting like even 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And do the work.
Yeah. But I think it's just, like McDonald's, or... I think it's funny from my perspective, because it's good to change your standards to more yogic standards. And let's say that Ajahn Sujato said that if you want to get deep meditation, like samadhi level, that's spiritual, then you should practice 1 session for 3 hours. And this is monk level. When if you want to get enlightened, then change a little bit your. But if you want to have a good life, then I say 45 minutes is great. And So, because, you know, we live in a time of total illusion. We live in a time of Mara where everything is fake. And if people tell you that 5 minutes meditation will do the work, it's just like, you know, you take a drug of misinformation. Yeah, I feel good about myself because I meditate for 5 minutes, but it's really, it's just impossible because the mind needs more time to relax. It needs these 40 minutes to really go through all this process of relaxing the various layers of your mind, and 5 minutes won't do it. I think 20 minutes, if you're really good, if you are already very good at meditation, then in 20 minutes your mind will do the work. But I've noticed when I meditate for like 40 minutes, then all this energy is like dissolving and reconfigurating, and you feel like newborn after this meditation. And if, in general, also that's good that you asked this, because there's one more thing. I've noticed a principle that if you practice 2 hours a day, then from spiritual perspective, you are like maintaining your prana on a good level. But if you want to get into really spiritual realm, then after you get more than 2 hours, then your meditation will build up. And I've noticed this on meditation retreats. When people meditate, for example, 5 hours a day, then after a few days, everyone gets spiritual experiences. They see lights, they have various mystical dreams and stuff like that. So if you practice a lot, and then it will build up. And then if you want to slow down, okay, this is too much, you know, this is too powerful, then you just go back to 1 hour, for example, because below 2 hours, it starts to fade away. But for example, let's say you were on a meditation retreat and you meditated 5 hours a day, and you had all these spiritual experiences, and you go back home, and you keep meditating 2 hours a day, then you will keep this level of vibration intact. You will feel like on this retreat. If you keep more meditating than 2 hours, you will most likely even deepen this. It will become more powerful, more powerful. But if you go back to 1 hour, half hour, the spiritual level will diminish, and it will start feel more materialistic again. And so this is in general principles, but I say two meditations, like let's say there are 3 periods. Morning, evening, and for example, between work or after work before relax. There are 3 parts, just do 2 of them. And if you do that, you will find you won't lose much time, but your life will be much more harmonious, and in the long term you will be super grateful, because this will transform completely your experience of life. Because later on, these feelings of meditation start to flow into your whole mind, your whole life. In interactions with others, in your chores, in your work, you will start feeling this flowing, pleasant way of approaching things. And so the meditation is like gym for the mind and heart, so this is how I would go. But even if you just do 2 sessions for 20 minutes, I think it's good. And now, in general, we open Q&A, so if you have any questions, just please ask.